Hello and welcome, my name is Buggerton at BoredGamer.co.uk, and today we're bringing you a bit of a retro romp. We're going to be playing this game, Dungeon Keeper, by the unfortunately no longer active Bullfrog team. Dungeon Keeper hit the shelves back in 1997, and still, to this day, in my opinion, it hasn't really been matched in terms of style and such. It's just, I can only think of one game that is really comparable with the way Dungeon Keeper works. It's sort of a dungeon management game where you control creatures, but you don't really control them. They do a lot of what they want to do. You can kind of guide them to what they're doing, and you go up against the heroes, the Lord of the Land, and you try and conquer the world with your darkness and evil. And later on through the game, you come up against other keepers as well as the heroes. So, yeah, pretty mixed and interesting fun. But yeah, the only game I can think that really came anywhere close to this was Dwarf Fortress. Is Dwarf Fortress, I should say, which is, as some of you might know, one of my all-time favorite games. I haven't actually made any videos about it, but I will at some point, and you might at that point see what I mean. But this is an absolute timeless gem. If you've never played it, or if you did play it and want to play it again, I would recommend going to goodoldgames.com and getting a copy of this game. I think it's only a few bucks, maybe 5 or 6, maybe $5.99 I think it was when I picked it up. Which for this game, it'll give you hours of fun, and it's just great. But yeah, I'm playing this with the KeeperFX mod, which allows me to give you this 720p custom resolution. It makes the game look a little better, and lets me see more of the map whilst remaining at a nice high quality resolution. It also fixes a few bugs. Dungeon Keeper didn't have a huge amount of bugs, but KeeperFX fixes the few ones that there are, and rebalances the game a bit. So it makes it for a more interesting and more balanced game, and I think it makes it a little bit tougher too, because the enemy keepers and heroes get a little bit more wily, a little bit more powerful, and yeah, just overall AI improvements and stuff. Anyway, for now, let's delve into it, and I'll show you why it was so awesome and why it was so popular. You'll see a lot of people talking about it at the moment because EA, who own the rights to Dungeon Keeper, sort of came back with one of these terrible mobile phone awful versions of the game. You know, one of these free-to-play bits of drivel. It's really annoying everyone because it's not a true Dungeon Keeper game. It's just pay to win. You know, it's not good. Just go to Good Old Games and get this. It's much better. You have tunneled into a new area. I'm gonna restart this so I can talk about everything and explain exactly what I'm doing. I've just been clicking on things to give you a little bit of visual, but just bear with me and.
Eversmile. Set in the realm of joy, the people of Eversmile are plagued only by aching facial muscles, and not anthrax as we had hoped. Eversmile is a disgusting land of good humor and polite frivolity.
Let's change that. Pow! We are back! Check this out. Oh yeah. Okay, so we've got the dungeon right here. You've got your dungeon heart, which is the thing you need to protect, mostly. If they being the enemies, destroy your dungeon heart by smacking it a whole bunch of times, you lose! Game over! It's the only way to kill and defeat enemy keepers, and the heroes don't have one. You just need to kill the Lord of the Land. He'll show up later. We'll get to that when we get to that. You've got your little map up in the top left-hand corner with a map icon. The Q icon brings up the options menu. I would have assumed that would be O rather than Q. The plus and the minus zoom in and out on the map. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. If you see on the map, the red tiles are tiles that I control. They're claimed by me. The lighter red you see here in the middle are rooms that I control, and gold is either gold or gems. This flashy tile up here, this is the portal. We'll come back to that later. This is where creatures come out of, creatures other than your imps. And the kind of grey tiles, obviously this is unexplored area, and the black at the side is unpenetrable rock. You can never ever go through this. You can't dig through it or anything like that. So there. Your dungeon art always starts off with 5 tiles around it, and you can actually build stuff on the outside ones, but not on this. You can't sell it either, because obviously you'd lose. So what happens here, you get messages and information file down from here. You click on them to bring up what the message is, and you right click on them to delete them. You can't delete the objective because that would be silly. You might not know what you're meant to be doing, but usually it's kill everyone and win. You are the evil keeper, and you must murder all of the other evil people who are trying to be as evil as you, and all the good guys who are trying to, you know, ruin your evil fun by making everything a nice, happy, fluffy bunny world. Well, that's not gonna happen! No! Okay, so our objective, the first thing a keeper needs is somewhere to keep gold. Yeah, that's true. So we need to make a treasure room. Select the treasure room icon from the rooms panel. This is the rooms panel. These are all the different panels. We've got the information panel, the rooms panel, the research panel. Nonsense, this is the spells panel, not research. You have magic spells in here, like possessed creature. Ah, listen to that voice. Cranium internum. Nice. Latin means something about head, inside, whatever. The workshop panel for when you build traps and doors and stuff, and the creature panel. We'll come back to that later when it's important. Well, it's always important, but shut up. Okay, so we're going to click the treasure room tile, and that changes our little cursor into the building icon, and we can build treasure tiles. Look at that. Use the cursor keys to see other areas of the underworld. Yeah, okay. I've remapped mine to WASD, but you can use the arrows. That's what it's initially mapped as. You can go and change that in the config settings in the main menu. I'm not going to show you how to do that because I assume you can. Bold assumption, I know. But okay, so the objective has changed. Expertly done. Press the right mouse button to turn the pointer back into the hand of evil. So this is the building tile. The building button, right click, and it's the hand of evil, with which I can slap my imps. Look at that. Wham! Slap. Oh, you might think that's unnecessarily cruel, but you'll notice that their speed has miraculously changed. They've got faster. Isn't that great? So what we're going to do is we're going to mine out the gold. The rooms in this game, all the tiles, it's square based. They're all squares. You just click on them to dig out. Grey just means it's a regular tile, and gold, I'm assuming this is a gold colour, means that it's gold. They'll start digging this out, slap them to make them work a bit harder, because, you know, they're imps and they need to be told what's what. And they'll dig out the gold and they'll bring it back to your treasure room. If you want to make your creatures work harder, slap. I just explained that to people. God damn! Use the left mouse button to pluck your creatures from the dungeon. Use the right mouse button to drop them over room or tile. Creatures perform the task most relevant to the situation they're dropped into. That's actually really helpful to know. So the little blue icon that appeared just there was that we've discovered a new area. These tiles were already dug out, and this is a watery area that cannot be claimed. You occasionally, or quite often, you'll just dig into a new big area and that'll open up to some nice exploring. And so that funny chanting that these little dudes were doing right then, that was claiming the areas. You see they were a kind of dull brown colour. We're going to pick up this imp using the left click and drop him next to this wall that we want dug out. And he's just going to go there and dig it out. Isn't that clever? Come on, we don't need 2 of you doing this. We're going to drop 1 of you on this reddish tile. And he's going to claim those tiles. Once they're claimed, you can then use them for your own dark and twisted purposes. By which I mean place buildings on them. And in fact, fortify the walls like this wee imp is doing. Fortified walls cannot be broken through by your enemies. Brilliant. So now, new objective message. Greedily done, Keeper. Now you need to turn some of your dungeon into a lair. Lairs are where creatures rest and recover. The area your imps just mined out would be an ideal spot for some creatures to lurk. rubbish. This is an awful area. You want a much bigger area for a lair. However, on the first level, it shall suffice. So, going with what they've said, we'll just plonk some layer tiles down, and boom. You've got a little status window that appears next to each room. You just hover over for a little bit, I think, and yeah, there we go. It tells you information about the room. So you've got the red, I think that's red, green and white. The red bar tells you what health it has. So if the enemy keeper has imps and they wander in here and try and take over your room, the health will drop, and once it gets down to the bottom, they'll have taken the room. And then you'll need to get your imps in to take it back. The next one is the green bar, which tells you how full the room is. So this is our treasure room. It can only store a certain capacity of gold, and currently it's about halfway, just a little bit under. And then the white bar underneath is efficiency of the room. And this is a bit of a weird one to get your head around. Rooms become more efficient if they have fortified walls and are square in shape. So a 9-tile treasure room is more efficient in a 3x3 square than it would be in if you just built it in a long line. That would be incredibly inefficient. Not just in terms of basic design and creatures running to and from it, but actual amounts that you can store in the room. So the treasure room as it stands, you can store I think if we just fill that up properly. You stupid imp, you're ruining my explanation. God damn these efficient imps. Anyway, you can store about 1,800 gold in one of these tiles. It's not perfectly efficient. It needs to be a little bit bigger and still square to be the perfect efficiency. But if you were to have the room strung out in a long line, each tile would not be able to store as much gold. That actually just happens in the game. So you want your rooms to be nice and square and efficient. The next thing we need to do is we need to connect this portal up to the rest of our dungeon. So we're going to pick up our imps. This is the creatures tab. Click the creature tab, you'll see we've got 3 imps, and there's the idle tab, the working tab, and the fighting tab to tell you what creatures are doing what. We picked up all 3 of them. You can pick up to 8 creatures, drop them next to this wall that we've designated for destroying, and the imps will scurry their way through and blast through those walls. So the one imp will go up and start claiming everything, and the other 2 imps will start fortifying these walls like good little creatures.
An entrance has been claimed.
And we get, as you can see, the blue little tooltip appears and says, "New room taken over, portal." Huzzah! And what does a portal do? As I said, it gives you new creatures that are a bit better at fighting than imps. Because imps are not really your standard fighters, and we've got a fly. It's the first creature you get. It's a big giant fly that spits corrosive vomit at your enemies. Its wings grant the hideous insect speed to intercept the most nimble trespassers. Ignore this. Flies are rubbish. They're great at exploring if you have big, vast areas of unexplored terrain that your imps can't readily run over because it's water, for example. Your fly will just run out and scout it, no problem, and that's great. Other than that, they're rubbish. They do very little damage. They can take very little damage. So once you've done exploring with them, which we have at this point, you want to pick them up, drop them into the portal, and get rid of them. Any creature other than imps that you drop into the portal tile, they'll just leave. They'll leave your dungeon. They may go and join another keeper or whatnot, but they'll be gone. And that's what you want to do with flies. They're rubbish. Oh, look, another one's turned up. Go away. Get out. So we've got a couple of beetles. Low levels, beetles are alright. They're pretty good. They've gone and made their little home in the lair. There you go. Beetle scuttle into your realm. It's tough. Absorbs a lot of damage. It absorbs a lot more than a fly. But as most creatures, it requires a hatchery. So it can eat food. We're going to dig one of those out. We're going to dig a nice big 5x4 one. 20 tiles. No, we'll make it 5x5, 25. A nice, efficient hatchery. Lovely. Oh, I'll show you this. The first spell you get, Cranium Internum. You just click one of your creatures, and boom! I am the imp. Look at me with my diggy tool. I hit tiles, and they fall over. Oh, check that out. Yeah! I can even claim the tiles myself. Look at this. I just swing my little diggy axe, claim tiles. Look at these dudes running around, claiming everything. And now they're fortifying the walls. What geniuses. So look, that's what the dungeon heart looks like from an imp's perspective. Obviously very short creatures. That's what a beetle looks like. These are the flies that we're going to get rid of. No, get out of my dungeon, you hideous creatures. You're rubbish. No one wants you. Ah, begone. So there we go. We've dug out a new area, and the hatchery is available. So we're going to build one of these. A nice big hatchery, and eggs are going to appear and hatch, and they're going to turn into chickens. Very quickly. The chickens in this game grow up very fast. Oh look, here's one. It's turning into an egg. It's a bigger egg. Oh, it's got legs. It's a chicken. Hello, chicken. So your beetles, they'll just go in here when they're hungry and they'll just go and snack on your chickens. Lovely. Some creatures require a bit more food than others. Some require no food whatsoever. Imps don't require any food. You can slap your chickens and they explode into a pile of blood and feathers. Not really very helpful at all. I wouldn't recommend it. You can actually pick them up and put them in other places. That's also not very helpful. Although it does mean that the hatchery is less full. I guess it means you can overstock the hatchery if you're really, really short on space. It's never really an issue though. Okay, what's this? Oh, intruders approach. Why not have a handful of creatures ready to drop on them? So you can see on the map, this here, showing us the map, these little white dots. Enemies are approaching, and they're digging through the walls. But as I said, they cannot get through these fortified walls. We've fortified all the walls around here, and around here, all the way around, up until... Oh no! Some unfortified walls! The game designers have done this on purpose. You come out into this area, and the imps can't fortify the walls around the water. As you can see, they've fortified the ones around the bits that I've dug out extra, but the ones around this bit of the water they can't fortify, because you can only fortify walls next to land you've claimed. So they've done this deliberately to allow the enemy into your little dungeon, because you're going to overwhelm and destroy them once they get here, because they're specifically designed to be quite low level and weak. But you know, they wanted to show you what it was like to be attacked. And to not have it all on your terms, and that's what's going to happen. So no, it's not. I'm going to dig through this wall right here and pick up my imps, dig through the wall, and I'm going to pick up all 7 of these beetles, and I'm going to drop them on my enemy's head. There we go. There's a dwarf. Kill him, beetles. Yeah, you've got it. There we go. Check that out. There's a fight going on. You can see that all of these beetles are involved in this fight, and this little sword icon appears and shows you who's involved and shows you their health. You can actually click on creatures either here or here. So like an imp's got into a bit of a tussle with some thief, so I can pick them up from anywhere. The menu down here or the menu up here. See, they're fighting up here. You can right click on the ones that are fighting, and it zooms in on them, and now they've gone back to being idle. Nice and easy. Look, there's more. There's another thief. He's going down. You see, one of our little creatures, his health is displayed in those 8 kind of pointers around the number 1. The number 1 being the level that he is. So you get food. Food gives you health, and sleep gives you health. See, this is what's happened. They've broken through my walls, and the creatures are all turning around, and they're going to give that dwarf what's for. It might just kill this beetle, but I'm not going to let it. I'm going to pick up that beetle so it can't kill it. Drop it back down here, and it's going to go to sleep and regenerate its health. What a good beetle. Isn't that beetle a dude? Totally. So something I didn't show you. You can totally... just holding shift automatically selects the possess creature spell without having to be in that menu. So hold left shift and click on a creature, and it zooms into them.
The Lord of the Land approaches.
Oh, they've got a terrible view. So that's the Lord of the Land approaching. He is the main boss of any one level, usually, and you want to kill him, and once you kill him, you win! Great news. As I said, unfortunately, clicking on the beetles, they've got terrible sight. So attacking with them, a bit rubbish. But you don't generally need to. Later on, you can get a room called the barracks where everyone will just train together, and you can drop them all in it, and then possess one creature, and the other creatures will follow you, which is really kind of cool. We're just going to drop these beetles next to the Lord of the Land. This fight's going to go down. He's going to do a fair amount of damage to this old beetle. Get rid of him, put him back in the lair, and hopefully win this battle with no casualties. Look at that. Fading away, and he's died, dropping a pile of gold. Your work here is done. Now there is no one to prevent you from obliterating this nauseating realm and expanding your empire into a neighborhood land. Nice. Ah, brilliant. Isn't that brilliant? Yes, it is. Only one thing left to explain on this level. This. The Create Imp spell. You almost always have this accessible from the very beginning of the level. But you just click and you get a new imp. Look at that. 4 imps. 5 imps. 6 imps. 7 imps. However, to cast this spell costs gold. Every time you use it, the cost of the spell increases by 150. So, use it sparingly. There is a way to decrease the cost of that spell later, but well, I'll explain that then. You need a room called the Temple. I think that's level 6 or 7. I'm not sure. Anyway, I think that's about it. So, once you've finished the level, as it says, success, the land is yours, press spacebar to proceed to the next realm.
Branna Hawk. War and anthrax have taken to this land like fleas to a rat. The region is, thanks to your unstinting efforts, now a major eyesore.